Hello and welcome to another episode of a weekly deathmatch. This episode is special because it marks a whole year of weekly episodes of the weekly deathmatch, and that is what my initial goal was when I set out to do this originally. Not going to stop anytime soon, just going to throw that out there. But this, in many ways, this series was a test to myself to see if I could produce a edited together video every week. Like, I know it's just one video a week, but as someone who already has two jobs, this was very much a challenge to myself to see if I could have some sort of creative outlet, doing something that I love every week without fail, in a way that is entertaining for people because they know that they can come back to it every week, that the commentary is at least somewhat interesting because I'm not doing it live. Like, if I'm not commentating as I play, it means I'm not getting distracted by things that are happening, and that's why I don't typically watch the gameplay on the screen while I'm talking, because I often lose my train of thought. And something I did was I went back and I watched the first weekly deathmatch immediately before I recorded this audio, and something I noticed immediately was that I've actually improved. And the reason why I find that surprising is because I had already been doing YouTube for about a decade on and off on a different channel, when I started the weekly deathmatch. So I thought, like, not that I couldn't improve or that I don't know, I guess I just kind of thought that I already knew how to make videos, if you know what I mean. And now I go back and I listen to my commentary in the first one and I sound monotone and I sound like almost shy in a weird way. And I don't know, obviously, like, this isn't exactly a series with loads of viewers, but it has increased in viewer count since the beginning. I used to get like 1 to 2 views per video, now I'm getting like 6 to 7. And like I've said many times in the past, I do this like as a hobby, but that, even though most people would consider that like a really small count, a really small rise in viewer count, it actually means quite a lot to me. I'm really happy about it. But also, like, just I've refined it over the last year. So for instance, if I lose my train of thought or I stumble over my words too much, I will stop, I will go back, I will delete the part that's rubbish, I'll re-record it. Or if I'm trying to think of something else to say, I'll pause the recording and I'll think of something else. For a while I had a whole bunch of topics on a notepad I was referring back to, but I've kind of decided to go a bit more off the cuff now, because I know I can still stop the audio recording whenever I want if I'm getting off track. And thumbnails, I've significantly improved thumbnails quite recently, in the fact that I actually create thumbnails instead of going with whatever YouTube dictates is the best thing. And I've also recently found a way to make them look a bit better, so thanks to my friend for giving me a very simple tip. I just have like no taste for graphic design at all. I didn't realise, well, the problem is, right, I make my thumbnails in a free online service called canva.com, not a sponsor, and they don't let you create a black outline around your words, which is a really stupidly simple thing that they just don't have. And the contrast between my words and the background on thumbnails was quite shit at times, which is why they were always different colours. But my friend was like, hey, you could always just put like a translucent black background like just behind the words and it would look quite professional as well. And yeah, that's fixed the contrast issue, and now I can colour code my videos. So weekly deathmatch is red, whatever month the adventure, whatever I'm calling those things, they're blue, compilation videos are yellow, and VODs are green. So you'll be seeing that going forward. But just in general, I think there's been a small production value bump. But because I went back and watched the first video just moments ago, I can tell you exactly what I was doing. Well, here's the thing, it wasn't really a year ago today, it's a year ago next week. When you're talking about like 52 weeks of videos, the 52nd week marks a whole year of videos, but the 53rd week is the actual 1 year anniversary, so it's a little weird in that regard. But in the first episode I spoke about I'd just seen Infinity War. No spoilers, I was very quick out to get with that, no spoilers. But yeah, I'd just seen Infinity War, and what's interesting is next week I'm going to go see Endgame. So they quite obviously did those exactly a year apart, and I just hadn't noticed. That being said, next week's won't contain any Endgame spoilers. In fact, I don't think I'll even have seen it by the time I record the video. But even then, the week after that won't contain Endgame spoilers. If I want to talk about Endgame, I'll find a different platform to do it on. But yeah, So that's what I was doing last year. Also, I was talking about how I was getting more into writing because I was writing backstories for my World of Warcraft characters. That I had just finished doing Volume 3, and there would be a Volume 4. There has not been a Volume 4. But I did write some more kind of traditional fan fiction, I would say, about the events of the Battle of Darkshore from my character's perspective, and it was this big thing where a whole bunch of characters that hadn't spoken to each other in thousands of years came together. It was all these brothers and stuff, and then also I told it from the perspective of my main Horde character, the Demon Hunter Zaveris. And at the time of writing that, I thought it was brilliant. And a couple of months ago, I went back and I reread it, and I went, oof. And I remembered why I don't typically write fan fiction. It's because you write it while you're very passionate about a particular world of fiction, and you go back and you read it later and you go, oh, that's not the best work of fiction I've ever put out. But I didn't get depressed about it. It was actually a really interesting learning experience, I would say, because everything that I had done wrong is just a signal of something that I can do right next time. And like, maybe for like an initial like 5 minutes I was like, oh man, like I can't believe I put this out, and I was proud about it and everything. But then I remembered that's better than just not putting anything out at all. And if I'm perfectly honest, over the last year I really haven't written much. I'm in a continual, perpetual state of owning this writing degree and not doing anything with it, and just beating myself up about it. But that is a big thing I've been focusing on myself over the last kind of month, I would say, is just not being so fucking hard on myself, because a lot of the shit that I care about is stuff that only I care about. I'm the only person giving myself grief over this, and I'm giving myself an incredible amount of grief over it. So basically, I'm just trying to be lighter on myself, I guess. But that's detracting from the weekly deathmatch, I guess. What I will say is, over the past year, while I've not kind of spoken like directly about some of the personal stuff going on in my life, I can go back to any one of those videos and kind of nail down where I was at that point, because if I'm perfectly honest, this year's been great so far, but when I started the weekly deathmatch, it was after like not the best time in my life, and then it just kept getting worse. So like in some of those earlier videos, I don't know if you can tell it in my tone or if it's just completely unnoticeable, but yeah, shit happened. But I'm gonna keep doing this because it is a pillar in my life at this point, and I fucking love doing it. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week for season 2 of the weekly deathmatch. Are we doing that? Are we doing a season 2? Is this the end of season 1? Season 1 grand finale? Oh, I don't know.